heads of talent acquisition and chief HR officers. Those programs actually are not yet here in Asia, but we're starting them shortly. Before we start, I want to thank our, there we go, sorry about that. There's the magazine. As you can see, HRO Today APAC is now available in Mandarin. Our first issue is now available in Mandarin. And if anyone in the audience read it, then you read the Mandarin magazine, tell me the translation was good, because I have no idea. All right, so, you know, I'm afraid it just says on the front, Elliot Clark is a joke, and I wouldn't know. I mean, honestly. But it's now available. We're making a significant investment, obviously, in increasing our distribution here in Asia as this market is growing very rapidly. I'd like to thank the sponsors of our event, Alexander Mann Solutions, Allegiance Global Solutions, Korn Ferry, People Scout Pontoon, and the celebration sponsor, Smith and Nephew. So, why are we talking about the great debate? I mean, HR is always changing, right? It is always changing. So why now? Why a theme on the debate over the future of HR? Well, we at HRO Today feel that the rate of change is accelerating, and we are at a time of serious inflection points. It's a recognition that the HR function has ascended in importance and impact, but with that newfound responsibility comes newfound pressures, and I'm sure you're all feeling them. All right, the demographics of the workforce are changing, and this is a global phenomenon. The tastes of the younger workers are different. And by the way, younger workers in America are more similar to younger workers in China or Vietnam or Australia than they are to older workers in their own countries. This is part of the homogenization of the internet. So the demographics are changing. There's different tastes coming out of this younger generation, and they're having a big impact on how we engage with employees. These are a few of our many challenges. Technology, which we've always used, I mean, we've used it for 40 years, is changing not only how we do work, but how we define work. So one of our speakers in North America, which was just a few weeks ago, has 71 software bots in her HR department. Now she has about 25 people, but of those 71, 14 of them prioritize their own work, the bots, and they are programmed to recognize prioritization based on past operations, and they can perform multiple functions in processing or reporting. Those 13 workers are not called software bots. They are referred to as digital workers. Okay? And this company, Automation Anywhere, just did the largest private equity placement in world history, $500 million investment. And they claim that they will be the largest employer on earth within a few years with 3 million digital workers employed. So if you're in HR, how do you define what is a worker? Question, isn't it? But a lot of people have already invested. So there's growth in artificial intelligence. 59.7% of HR folks are happy with the performance of their AI-based platforms. This is a study that we did at HRO Today. Actually, it was part of the, our global field leadership sponsor is Alexander Mann Solutions. This is one of the first studies we did that they helped support. Of that 60% that have said that they are using AI and are happy with it, 86% plan to spend more on AI in the future, and more specifically on sourcing, which is the leading use of it. But, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and the digital workforce all day today. But we also have another debate about what's the role of HR itself. You guys have probably experienced this within your own walls. The role of HR has evolved in the past. I mean, some of us, like me, remember when, when I started off, resumes were on parchment, but back in those days, it was personnel. Okay, I have a degree from the Wharton School in personnel management. That's what we called it in those days, labor relations and personnel management. Now, it's really funny, I am now the advisor, I'm the chair of the advisory board of the Wharton School for Human Resources, okay, globally, but if you say personnel around that, everyone scoffs. All right, so HR has changed dramatically over the years. But we now see HR, as a strategic part of management, but we also see HR people taking ownership of areas like real estate, security, and internal communications. HR is actively involved with employee volunteer programs and leadership development. And should HR be in charge of areas like corporate responsibility? This is another area where HR is evolving and there's debate. And the talent market is changing, as I mentioned earlier, younger workers. So now we have to worry a lot more because I have a friend named Josh Burson. Many of you probably read Burson, by the way, right? Josh, at the beginning of his, I think it was his 2016 report. It was the beginning of 2017, his 2016 wrap-up, announced, and I love this line, I called him in San Francisco and said I loved it. It said, "The war for talent has ended, the talent has won." Workers now define the way they engage with employers, not the other way around. When I came out of college, you went and applied for a job, and it was whatever terms the employer wanted. You are all managing multiple channels. If an employee wants to come in as a contractor, okay, if the employee wants to come in as a consultant, if they want to come in as a contingent worker, if they want to come in as a permanent worker, it becomes their choice. And this younger generation, okay, I was telling someone earlier, I have a 28-year-old daughter who actually said to me she refuses to work full-time. She's a psychologist and she has a series of contracts that she works with different practices and different organizations. Okay, she said that's the way work is now done. All right, so the world's changing. We have more gig workers. We also, by the way, in many countries, in the US, in Japan, and now in China, we have actually more job openings than we have people looking for work. Okay? So the unemployment rate for, this is interesting, software engineers in Silicon Valley in the United States, you know what the unemployment rate is? 0. 0. And we're seeing this across the globe. So what does the globe look like? And I know we're going to talk a lot about talent acquisition today. So this is a study we do with a firm called Orion & Votis. It actually looks at global unemployment rates around the world in 45 developed countries. This is actually the unemployment rates as of the first quarter. This is what you faced on January 1st. Okay? And you can see from the chart, 4 to 5% is green. That's just really Russia at this point. The blue is under 4%, and you can see there's quite a bit of blue. And yellow is, 5 to 9%. Right? The only developed country that's went backwards is Brazil, and they just had a regime change. The new president Bolsonaro was saying that they're going to make a big impact in that. But look here. There's very few areas where, India is about 6%, so they're at the low end of that. Australia, about the same. There is a lot of congestion. There's no economies in this area that aren't running anywhere 5 to 6%, is what most economists feel is the current natural rate of unemployment, and everyone is either there or below it. Okay? So if you remember nothing else about talent acquisition, remember this slide. There is no shortage of shortages. Okay, I should have had this in Mandarin as well, just to make sure. I know you're all feeling it. We're going to talk a lot about that. We have a lot of great HR leaders on the agenda today, leading workshops. The idea is to exhaust you intellectually. We're going to come up and talk about some really pressing topics. And then after we do that, we're going to ask you to discuss them at your table. I know a few of you have been to the HRO Today Forums before. If you enjoy this event or the content, please tell your European counterparts. We have an HRO Today Forum in Dublin this year in EMEA. So if you get tired of Asian beer, you want to go back to where beer was invented, there you go. The Germans don't like that when I say that, by the way, when Ireland invented beer, but okay. Now Frederick's already going like this. All right. So, but, we have that. It's November 4th through 7th. And, that is also a lot of CHROs there, and it's a conference primarily focused on HR strategy. That's what we try to do at HRO Today. So I'd like to welcome, he's actually chairing this conference, Zachary Misko is the President of Member Services and Shared Expertise, to the stage. Zachary is also the Global Executive Director of the HRO Today Association. Ladies and gentlemen, Zachary Misko.
Thank you, Elliot. And don't tell him what's really on the cover in Mandarin. And on behalf of the HRO Today Association and the entire HRO Today family, we warmly welcome you to the HRO Today Forum in APAC. As Elliot said, my name is Zachary Misko. I look forward to spending the next day and a half with you. I'll be acting as your MC, speaker guide, logistics guru, and the guy that hopefully has the answers to the questions that you have or can get them for you. So don't hesitate to ask. This year's theme is hosting the great debate, what is the future of HR? Despite technology disruption that has roiled business across the globe, the need to attract, retain, protect, and serve employees has insulated companies. But change is also washing over how we do business and sending ripples across the HR industry. As you will learn from our speakers in workshops, interviews, and sessions, a rising cohort of technology, learning, and enabled leaders are rethinking creative models and rethinking business. And today we have 5 workshops that will enlighten us in each of the following topics: leadership, building agile TA technology, optimizing resources in a gig economy, evolving talent analytics, and social media and employer branding. We have time for you to network and spend time together to continue the discussions from these sessions or to spend it on topics we have in program for you today, during one of the 2 breaks and over lunch. Tomorrow we have sessions that get you involved through learning, sharing, and creating new ideas to take back and start using in your companies right away. I ask that when you break into discussion groups, you always select a note taker to document those key points of the discussion. I'll be collecting those and compiling them, along with notes that I'll be taking, as well as our APAC Editor-at-Large, Michael Sutton, who is also going to be taking notes. I'll make sure that all the great ideas and information is shared with all delegates after the event. We are investing in this vision of the future. So is HR being shaken by technology automation, process improvement, and new discoveries? The answer is yes. Will we end today on a positive note? The answer is yes. To end today, we will have a cocktail reception from 5 to 6, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to announce our 2019 Association Award winners in each of the 4 categories that you see on the screen, as well as our 2019 Talent Acquisition Leader and Team of the Year. Throughout the next 2 days, we'll be exploring the highest standards of human resources in the management and support of services, technologies, and overall HR functions. The HRO Today Association is also responding to the needs of our members, and we are enabling technology to help us better manage social media, to help us with online networking, and on-demand learning, and virtual opportunities to better engage with our global members. Our value proposition to members of the association, of which our HR practitioner audience is experiencing the highest growth and currently dominates our membership, is on the screen, and you can view our website to learn more, or talk to me while you're here at the forum. But that's a lot to read when you're sitting out there in the audience. So to make it really easy, let me get rid of all those other words and simply say, the HRO Today Association delivers, and in just 6 words, it's about development, networking, sharing, standards, practices, and knowledge. Our new committee structure in the association empowers our members to help drive and get deeply involved in how the association responds to the industry needs, sets standards and practices, and enhances our user experiences. We really put our members in the driver's seat to ensure the association is working for them. And I know we've got a few new association members here with us this morning, so I welcome you and look forward to having you engaged in our association. And while the forum delegates participating in great conversations and best practice sharing is a wonderful thing to be able to do, the association allows you to have these conversations daily. So are you interested in opportunities to engage in networking with HR, business leaders, and experts across the globe? Is online learning helpful to your organization and teams? Can the opportunity to engage in thought leadership and industry recognition help your employees and organization? The answer is yes, yes, and yes. If you're not already a member of the association, I urge you to do so and keep the conversation and learning active every month. Don't you wish you could pick up the phone and immediately start to focus on strategy, questions that get to the heart of the matter and shorten what can be a long search and selection process when you as an HR practitioner are trying to select the HR services and technology provider who's best suited to be your partner? Well, maybe you can, or at least we hope to get you talking to the right people just a little sooner than you have in the past. That will be achieved through our HRO Today Certified Provider Program. This is a program where we confirm that a provider meets a minimum qualifications and standards checklist, potentially allowing you the opportunity to begin talking to those companies that can do the work you require and may align best to meet your needs. Watch for the rollout of this new exciting program in September of this year. As business people, we like asking questions, hence our theme, what is the future of HR? It can help clarify choices and allow us to focus on what really matters. But in an age of flux, paradox has ascended. Success will come from embracing the convergence of HR and technology and adapting to whatever happens to be the answer in any debate. This has always been the business plan for successful leaders who take opportunities that appear and run with them. More and more, we all have to learn to run this way. These are edge of your seat times. That's one reason we have focused our workshops and sessions on the art of discussion, exchange, and maybe even an argument or two as this year's theme, hosting the great debate. Here's an industry that has been disrupted many times before, throughout time, by the creation of an ATS, the rise of social media, recruiting and marketing, video interviewing, the launch of a CRM, and so much more. And did we manage to remain ourselves after each of those? The answer is yes. Even when critics were more skeptical. So how will it work out this time? Who will be the superheroes and the villains? And what will the next technology twist reveal? Whose idea will fuel the discussion? Sit back and enjoy the workshops and the debates that may unfold today. We're all living it. We might as well enjoy watching it and being a part of it. With that, I'm delighted to welcome you to what promises to be a highly educational, collaborative, and successful conference. If you're ready to join me in that journey today, let me hear you say yes.
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 So we're about to do the first workshop, and I want to just frame it out for you sort of quickly. I have a niece who is a young lady, and I asked her, and this is her making fun of me, by the way. I said, what are you doing this year? She said, I'm engaged in leadership development. And I said, oh, what are you doing? She was, I'm teaching 6-year-olds in elementary school. I said, it's really funny that the actual thing is pretty much the same. So that aside, leadership is one of the big challenges of HR, not only showing it ourselves, but actually fostering it in others. Hiring leaders and moving them from one organization to another and successfully onboarding them. It's a significant challenge, if you will. Zachary, you told me someone, the med guy. Meet the med guy back. What's up here? Okay. You just getting him in?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You can't do anything laying around Zachary, by the way. So the first session is by Korn Ferry International. Korn Ferry, as you know, is one of the most prestigious names in human resources and technology. Korn Ferry has a comprehensive array of solutions bridging every aspect of the employee life cycle, including sourcing and hiring management and retention, as well as consulting on engagement and leadership development. Korn Ferry is renowned for its intellectual property and its keen insights And today we're going to be talking about self-disruptive leadership. Tim Weissman is the associate client partner in Korn Ferry's Hong Kong office. He's been here for about a year. He's still getting used to the climate, by the way, but he mentioned that this morning. He specializes in design, development, and deployment of organizational change strategies, including leadership engagement and development. He's involved in several large-scale transformation projects at Fortune 500 companies, and he's got experience at Korn Ferry and prior to that at KPMG. By the way, the study that he's going to refer to, the Self-Disruptive Leader, is available in the back on the Korn Ferry table. I read this morning. It's actually a very good study. He's going to talk about what's in here, and I think that there's a lot to be gained from thinking about how you can use this within your own organization. So without further ado, let me introduce Tim Weissman from Korn Ferry.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for braving the Hong Kong rain. It's interesting how things get backed up with a little bit of rain comes out. The interior gets full and the taxis get full, and there's this cascading effect. So glad you can make it today. I've been working I've been in consulting since the early 90s, some sort of time or another. And I've been with KPMG focusing on high potential and leadership development for the past 15 years. Recently relocated from Colorado, a very dry climate, to Hong Kong. Not so much dry, but the Singaporeans, I'm still with. Singapore, still right, but still the most humid. Thanks, Elliot. It's great to be here with so many prestigious colleagues and excited to learn from you as well. This will be a workshop. So this is going to be interactive, be asking you questions. My colleague will be running around with the microphone because we want to make sure this is being recorded, so we want to make sure we capture your thoughts as well. As Elliot mentioned, Korn Ferry is probably a legacy known as recruiting, right? Search and recruiting. That's actually less than half of our business now. The rest of it is around what we call the advisory space, and that full value chain of everything, all talent, up to but not including outplacement. And we've also got a really robust research institute. It's located in North America, and this information that we're going to be sharing today was published about a month ago. So this is still pretty fresh. So, but I thought pretty interesting, exciting stuff. So I'm going to be sharing some of those ideas with you, how we came to this model, show you a bit about the model, and then we're going to have some working sessions here so you can take away hopefully some actions going forward. Please make this interactive. I want to hear from you, so any questions that come up as we're going along, we'd love to hear from you. All right. While we're working on the live polling, actually, let me do this. Who brought their phones with them? Okay, pull your phone out. Go ahead and open up a browser real quick. For whatever reason, the question isn't displaying, but I'd like to get a read on you on what are some of the things that you're facing. So go to an open browser and go to pollev.com, pollev.com/Korn Ferry HRO. pollev.com/Korn Ferry HRO. And you should get a prompt and a list of questions. And the question is, in your career, what talent issues and trends have you come across? See, we're already starting to get some results. Thank you. Check as many of those that apply. You have 4 or 5 of those. Over here. Ah, already full? Closed? Technology, right? That's why we're here. Well, thank you. We're going to have a couple more of those. We'll work through this. But let me stand aside here and take a look at what's going on. I think maybe when we reset up here, I may actually. So, during your career, which talent issues and trends have you tried to address? So we just talked about several of these: AI, digital. Talked about some generational issues. Who are some of the people that talked about AI? Who had AI in the response? Yeah, so what does that look like in your organization? How does that manifest itself? What was the conversation like around AI?
For us, we're just starting with using AI in the recruitment process. So really around trying to automate some of the steps in the recruitment process.
So you probably got bots out there that are gathering information.
We will have, this is just the beginning.
Okay. Scouring LinkedIn and various other websites based on criteria. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. Who else had AI? Yeah, please. What does that look like? What's the conversation like in your organization?
We have currently deployed a few bots in our organization, which helps.
So we have a few bots deployed in our organization which helps to address employee queries. Like for example, if somebody wants to relocate from say the US to Hong Kong, they can just go to the bot and type a question to understand about their benefits, to understand about the leaves and other things. So it also helps for local employees as well, not just on relocation. So any HR related questions, rather than HR addressing them, we have bots addressing them right now.
And is there some machine learning behind that? So
Yes.
it captures trends?
Yes.
Great. And so I loved what you guys were talking about, that now we're maybe not human resources, we're resources. And so the AI bots, how many do you have reporting to you? What other AI example? Yeah, sure, thanks.
The corporate services sector, the filings have just been, that used to be done by child secretaries or administrators, they're just being replaced by bots. And I've been talking to several of the group CEOs over the last week or two, and this is starting now. So all your statutory filings, not being done by humans, it's going to be starting to do by bots.
Wow.
So that's a major shift in the corporate services sector. I mean, that's a huge shift. In the next 5 years, it's going to make a massive difference to the way they train, the child secretaries, the administrators and so forth, train, the way they work, how they're regarded, and what areas they have, what areas is left for them to do at the lower levels.
And I can imagine they're digitally gathering all of the regulatory, with the formatting structure, how, time, duration, all that.
And it's being moved offshore to lower cost centers.
Wow.
Big shift.
Really interesting. How about this digital one? I'm curious about who put digital and what does that look like for your organization? 15% of you did, so that means one on the table. Oh, that's right. So it should be even more. No. Yeah, digital? Who put digital? No? All right. Well, apologies for the poll. We'll get that reset here. So I was just curious about what some of the things that have been happening and some of the conversations that have been going on.
Ken, I mean, so let me just chime in. Because in our business, we use digital information the same way all of you do. So if I, for example, put Tim Weissman into our system, I can tell you how many minutes you spend on HR Today pages, what you read, and the system will automatically predict what kind of content you want. Okay? And then we'll feed you that content over time. And that is actually the software that we use is an adaptation of what the recruiting industry uses. Okay, all it does is build a profile. And you see that across marketing, you see it across recruiting. Basically, what digital does is it empowers you to understand what people are thinking before they actually think it. And that's frankly going to be really important with employees and recruits in the future. So, I don't know if that answers your question of what digital is, but I think that's what most of you are doing. You're using it to develop profiles of candidates and employees to figure out how to better communicate with them.
Thank you, Elliot. And I found in my consulting experience, the 2 or 3 themes that every conversation I have with a client or potential client is around digital. What is it? What does it look like for them? From hotel chains, companies that have old brick and mortar financials, to companies that grew up digital, like Google. They're all trying to define what that looks like. Innovation is the other one. Probably every conversation, 90% of the conversations I have are around innovation. So some of the things we're going to be talking about, this self-disruptive leader, encompass both of those dimensions. All right. Oh, so that thing, that black device that you just pulled out and you were typing on, that came out in about 12 years ago. The first iPhone was released. I'd love to hear from you. What other functions do you use that little black device for, other than something called a telephone call? It still does that, by the way. Throw some ideas out. What do you use that device for?
Alarm clock.
Alarm clock, right?
Photos.
Photos.
Maps.
What was it?
Maps.
Maps. Oh, thank God. Banking, scheduling,
Music,
lots of music.
podcasts,
Thank you.
videos.
Videos, got to keep up on Game of Thrones. Yes.
Email.
Right.
Messaging.
Messaging. We order food. We order cars. We book airline flights. We send money to nieces and nephews that are graduating, teaching kindergarten, 6th graders on leadership. Nobody knew that little thing came out that would do all of that, what we do today. In 12 years, who knows? And that's what the digital, the disruption, the innovation is about. It's an unknown space. We're not going to be able to predict what that is. So we need people that can get in front of that and build and break and build that for the future. So what we have used in the past to measure what good looks like for leadership models is not going to get us to the future. I didn't notice until yesterday that actually was moving. I reviewed the slide deck a few times, and then yesterday I thought, that was pretty cool. I should have noticed that earlier. Okay, so some of them, I'm going to go through quite a bit of how we got to this research, the process of how we went through it, and then of course what the new format is. Here's one of the more interesting dimensions on one of the sources of the research. We interviewed almost 1,000 market analysts. So from 2/3 of the top 400 market cap investment organizations that are doing fund management all around the world. So 800, or almost 800 of these people that we interviewed. So we took a bit of an economic business approach on what do they look for when they're looking for when and how to invest in a company. And overall, the theme came back is that the current legacy stock isn't going to get to the future. Two-thirds of those investors value future vision over past performance. I can buy that. There's some inherent common sense to that. Past performance is really critical. But now more than half of these people are looking at what is the future and what is the leadership saying where this organization is going. That's where we're going to invest millions and billions and trillions of dollars of assets. This I thought was interesting. Almost 70% say the need of transformation will take leadership make it more important to the company's performance in the next 3 years. I met with a private equity company about a month ago, located here in Hong Kong, and we had a conversation about their portfolio companies, and they did a longitudinal study on what was important and how they were going to value and acquire and manage their portfolio companies. Guess what the biggest leverage point was, what their research showed? You're not allowed to say. It was the senior leadership team. It wasn't the product. It wasn't the innovation. It wasn't their supply chain. It wasn't their amazing value chain and their profit margins. It was the leadership team. Not only did they determine that was their biggest lever, they installed a senior executive role whose job was to just evaluate the human beings on the leadership team. They outsourced to a very specialized boutique company, a CEO evaluation company that would come in and evaluate the CEO prior to the deal. Most due diligence in the PE situation was what it's usually legal, compliance, finances, all those pieces. But the majority of their efforts are in that leadership team. They will make a decision within 6 weeks of pulling that leadership team or not. Most PEs will last about a year and a half before they decide to make those kind of switches. But this company is determined that's their highest leverage point. And so within 6 weeks, this is written into their deals that they can pull and replace anyone on the senior leadership team. Pretty impressive. Here's what caught my eye. The percentage, 2/3, say that the current stock that we have in place is not going to be capable of meeting future needs. I went with another private equity company here in Hong Kong, and they said, it's going okay. It's a small legacy company, manufacturing, and they're meeting all of the financial requirements. But they're really frustrated because the leadership team is really stubborn and doing it in the old family traditional way that, it's okay, this is good enough, we're making our margins, don't worry about what that new private equity company says. And they're creating a lot of tension. And they're actually, I had a conversation with them last week, and it was one of 3 things were going to happen. They cut the entire portfolio team, the portfolio company released them, even though they're making the numbers. But there's so much more potential there. They're going to replace the entire leadership team, or they're just going to kind of put them on autopilot. Because they're just spending a tremendous amount of time and energy trying to get them on board with what the expectations are of working in a PE structure. So this is what PEs, venture capitals, analysts, large stock companies and portfolio companies are trying to look for. All right. So if disruption, this thing called disruption is here to stay, the innovation cycle is shortening. The tolerance for risk is increasing. The need to move from self-reliant, kind of controlled, compartmentalized, managed into this new sharing and co-creation. This innovation thing is not new to leaders, but how the innovation took place. Takes place is going to be the important part. We worked with a company called Philips. Heard of Philips? They used to make these things here that are shining down on us. About 6 or 7 years ago, we created a leadership development program for them, and we took them to some innovation centers. So we went over to Google, we went over to Silicon Valley and showed them all of these high-tech, what innovation really looks like. To the organization, they all said basically this: you will die unless you change. They took it to heart. They don't manufacture light bulbs anymore. It used to be the largest manufacturer of light bulbs on the planet. Now they're a lighting solution data company. They're experimenting things with Wi-Fi. Have you heard of Wi-Fi? Light emitted Wi-Fi. So when you wear it as a light bulb, you have a chance to connect with the intercloud web, whatever that thing is. So the new company is called Signify, and they're basically lighting solution specialists. And they work with entire municipalities on drafting lighting infrastructure, smart power networks, and completely divested from their light bulb manufacturing organization. They're one of the few that actually did the pivot. All right. Here's basically the research that we did, and I'll show you the model, and then we'll have a chance to talk about it. We did a really comprehensive scrub of futurist literature, working with futurist think tanks around the world on what the planet, what business, what's the environment, what our organizations would look like in the future. Then we started to come up with a list of skills that we needed in order to be successful in the future. We mapped it to our Korn Ferry competencies and traits. And when we thought, well, here, the difference between a competency is a skill and a trait is a motivator, is a mindset. And that's really where the key is around the self-disruptive leadership. We mapped this, so we created a bit of a framework here based on that literature. We overlaid that with 150,000 participant assessments that we've had from all over the world from senior leadership and started to create some themes from that. Finally, we mapped it to things like the Global Innovation Index, world's most admired companies, fastest growing companies, most innovative companies. We started to come up with this theme, this trend of what the future is going to look like and need to look like. Here's what we got. It's a 5-part model. First dimension is anticipate. This thing of self-disruption, not waiting for disruption, not being agile to respond to disruption, but breaking it yourself before it gets broken for you. So the ability to provide clarity when the business environment is volatile and ambiguous, and you don't even know who your competitors are. Some competitors can grow overnight and you can be faced with those new competitive dimensions. The traits, the mindsets around the anticipate, curiosity, tolerance of ambiguity, adaptability, risk-taking. The mindset of anticipate is going from that's not what I do to disappointment is inevitable. Being discouraged is a choice. Our next one, drive. This is the ability to energize people when they're constantly being asked to change their routine, come up with new ways to do things, to break and re-break, the ability to nurture a positive environment, and the ability to be hopeful and optimistic in a chronically disruptive, which is the natural new state. So the old mindset is people can take care of themselves. 2, good leadership is about making the lives of my team better. Accelerate. Accelerate is the ability to manage the flow of knowledge, drive prototyping, drive beta testing, iteration, accelerating ideas. The 80%. Build it, break it, rebuild it. You guys have heard this before. The mindset used to be, failure is not an option. And now the new mindset is, I will never accomplish perfection. Let's get to the 80%. Get to that 80%, iterate, do it again. That creates a lot of disruption, and it's difficult to champion and engage the workforce around you when there's that constant motion and there's the relentless push for success. Partner. How do you work with resources when you don't have a line of control? Dotted, solid lines, you've got agile workforce, you've got agile teams, rapid response teams, virtual gig workers, contractors. The boundaries really start to fade, and you have to be able to engage people. This is what Ellie and Zach were talking about earlier. You have to engage people with what's important for them. The millennials, the Gen Zs. The mindset, traditionally, between 2 ideas, one must be good. Future mindset is from those 2 different ideas, a 3rd one or 4th one might come out of that. So conflict is not minimized, managed, and encouraged. For those of you who read the Steve Jobs bio, the official one, you gonna read that one? When I read that, I just was so depressed. He did absolutely everything that we teach people not to do. He was a world-class jerk. He manipulated, he pushed people intentionally into conflict because he believed from that conflict came a better answer. That was one of his guiding philosophies. I'm not sure I believe how he did it, and the burnout that caused, but an amazing product and amazing company came out of that. Lastly, is around trust. Securing people's commitment. In an increasingly heterogeneous, very diverse profile, mindset, thinking, backgrounds, how do you engage someone who needs that self-expression, and how these employment relationships, to Ellie's point earlier, part-time, voluntary, how do you engage those people where the old metrics of pay and rewards aren't really going to cut it anymore. I'm sure you're all facing this as well. So the mindset from that is harmony is achieved when differences are reduced. And now it's difference does not divide people, it's the inability to recognize it and push through it that creates the conflict. All right. This is our model. This is ADAPT, ADAPT. This is how we mapped, based on all the research, the data points, 150,000 folks, looking at all of the predictive future literature, getting market analyst input. This is the type of person that will get in front and break things before their competition will break you. Here's what I'd like us to do. We've been handing out, hopefully you have that in front of you now, this little scorecard. It's a little self-diagnostic, very unscientific, unlike our research. This is the 10 version of it, so that's kind of a gut feel on the particular dimensions. So what I want you to do is you're going to have a chance to talk about this at your group, and you're going to be able to kind of self-score based on some of the prompts that I have listed on each one of these dimensions. So we're going to self-score it, and we're going to have a conversation. But first, time for a little disruption. I want you to take a look at the people at your table. Make sure you stare in the eye, squint. We're all professionals at analyzing people here. Right? We're going to do some judgment here. This will be fun. Make sure we're getting this on tape. So you're about to make an impression based only on, making a decision based only on first impression. On the count of 3, I want everybody to lift their judgment finger and point to the person that you think has the highest amount of drive based on how it applies here. Judgment fingers ready? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, point. Oh, this is a consensus. No consensus. All right. So, just for fun, what did you make your decision on? Color of clothing? Hairstyle?
Color of hair.
Color of hair. What else? What did you make your decision on? Really? Prior knowledge? Was that part of it? Okay. Well, what else? What did you make your decision on? I'm sorry? Instinct. Okay. Came from nowhere, so okay. I told you this was fact check. All right. Drive people that got nominated, come up with your consensus. I'd like you to stand up. Whatever the consensus was, do your final selection now. Who's tabled here? Who got nominated? Who got nominated here? Please select one. Okay, we got one here. Stand up. What do we got at this table?
We each pointed to someone different.
Maybe it's final determination. Go ahead, pick one person now. Okay, got 1, 2, 3. Who's your volunteer? This isn't going to be really painful. I promise. All right. Take your phone with you, and I'd like you to switch places with the other 5 people. So go ahead and rotate tables. Doesn't matter which way.
Where am I going?
Make sure you're
Oh, yeah, sure.
Hello and welcome.
Clearly, very women dominant table with all the bags.
All right. Take a look at your scorecard now. Welcome to your tables. Take a look at your scorecard and read those dimensions on there. I'd like you to self-score that on a 1 to 10. This is another gut check activity. Where do you think your organization is on 1 to 10? 10 is always best. On the A, on the whole adapt model. Go ahead and take like 3 minutes to read through that. Read through that and come up with your score.
Your score or your organization score?
Organization score. Great clarification, thank you. Where do you think your organization is on the drive? Low, medium, high, 7.37.
Sorry, what's the range?
1 to 10. This is for your organization. You probably have some anecdotal evidence, some conversations, some gut feel, maybe you have some actual data. 1 to 10. So under anticipate, do leaders provide clarity and direction? Under drive, do leaders energize employees who are asked to change? Do they create a positive environment? Accelerate. Is the flow of information managed through people processes? Is ideation and iteration positively managed? Partnering? Are resources pooled as needed? Fairly non-hierarchical? Highly matrix, I would guess. In volunteer interdependency, where would you score that? And then trust. Is there commitment to the shared objectives? Does it supersede individual goals? 1 to 10 there. All right. Again, non-scientific, this is just your gut check based on how you think your organization shows up against the self-disruptive model. Okay, back to our poll. Great. Let's try this now. Which dimension, as you the scorecard you just finished, which dimension is strongest for your organization? So go back to that pollev.com/Korn Ferry HRO. Yeah.
Doesn't allow us, it says welcome to your presentation. Hang on.
So it's all, the polling is stuck. All stuck?
I think you have to activate it on the interface.
We just did that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
right now, so.
Ah. 15-second delay for it to go up to the intercom and back. Okay, great. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. All right. This I would call a clear theme. It looks like drive, the ability to prioritize, develop and select leaders, create a positive, nurturing environment, is clearly out in front. Anticipating trust, looks like they're showing up second. Wow. All right. Based on that, here's what I'd like you to do at your tables. Share the strengths from your individual scorecards and discuss three of these three dimensions. What does that particular strength? Maybe it is the drive, maybe it's around the trust, maybe it's around partnering. What does it look like? What are the impacts to the organization and maybe to your role? And how can you accelerate this strength? I'm a big believer in strength-based, but I don't think that's where you stop. I think it's yes and. So please at your tables, remember this is the workshop part of it. Take a look, have a conversation, share what your strengths are based on your individual scorecard representing your company, your organization. What does it look like? How does it manifest itself? What's the impact? What's the implications? And then what are some ways that you can accelerate those? I'll give you 6 minutes, please.
Seems like quite interesting. Are you reporting?
Briefing, yes.
Oh, okay.
For example,
One of the
on the other hand, this is not why they are last statement clearly
So just have an interest, like, what have you scored times?
I accelerate.
I've got 5. Wow, it's all different. Wow,
Okay, I feel that different domain, for example, on that why why is own interest very important. For example, I feel very important because we have to align the individual goal with the organizational goal, and then say the kind of win-win organization here. That's my major emphasis here.
yeah, but is that reflective?
Yeah, we are trying to do that. We try to do that because I'm a business owner myself, and then I feel that we have to understand the needs of the leader. To say that just not to say that we should do this, we should do that. Especially in this what they call this cyber native, these younger people, and they have their own thinking, and then we cannot kind of override them with our kind of sense of importance respectively.
What industry are you from?
Well, we are more on the AI industry. I mean the technology industry. The AI big data industry. Quite a few young talents in the organization.
The whole field is so right? Summary, how does that, what does that look like?
Sometimes we're not necessarily a sales organization, but we have quite a strong competition. We basically high resource of implementing new programs. And I think any type of sales-driven organization we're trying to see us look forward and has to always chase the kind of new effectiveness. So I think accelerate we are most about race work.
Who else is a seller? I think for us, the vision states we are 100 companies. We have the strategy to change. For example, change that's why we have to start changing the people mindset, culture. People may want to stick to the old and say, hey, we are very successful in the past. So this is as usual, and then for us to say, no, we have to change. Because the new world has changed. So we have to communicate. I think communication is key. So we have regular employee meetings to communicate the new focus, the new plan, driving the new focus on the new business targets. So it's quite a top-down approach. Yes, from top-down and then from corporate, APAC, and then from and do you see a lot of buy-in from the grassroots level?
Well, of course there could be, some old wood there.
Yeah, people fundamentally don't know.
Yes, because they are those successful. They said, okay, even now, because to be honest, because of the company name and the historical, some business you don't have to fight for them; they will just come in. So they said, even I don't change, I make my target. But you make my target today doesn't mean tomorrow you make a target. So that's why the boss insists very much. So we have to monitor on the performance, and I told the boss, not only just monitoring from the inside, we have to change the KPI. For example, the measurement is not only for a single person, it should be for team and also cross team. Because they will say that, okay, my business make it. They didn't care about the other business well. So we have to link all together for the KPI because it's driving people behavior. So
Essentially, we have to.
yes, we have to bind them together. So that's why I think driving is very important. The boss driving changes. In case people don't accept it, we have to see how we have to manage it.
And that was your highest dimension, drive?
For drive, for this one,
You talk about more like a holistic instead of point of view, local organization, say the awkward, correct? The awkward, say the holistic.
2 minutes,
Yeah.
2 more minutes.
Holistic, because you said the KPI will apply to the organization as a whole rather than
well, I think we need to get a balance because I think for sales commission, normally, okay, how many pieces, for example, we sell in the server, how many server you make, for example, 2 million pieces, how many commission you can get. Normally it's like this, right? Then they only care, okay, how many server I sell. But we got others like the maintenance part, the services, little different things. For example, like iCloud solution as well. So actually, for our business nature, the client who buys a product or service is not only buy one product. For example, just like if you go to the website, you want to look for, you won't only just buy the pork or just buy the beef, okay? You will also buy the veggie, right? You will also buy seafood. So we want to give a bundle. So when you sell to the client, you sell a bundle. Then you make the whole business, the whole company, don't be so silent. It's not just going to the convenience store, I just want to pick a coffee because I'm thirsty. Because now we know our clients, they need a whole bunch of IT services. We should sell them. So it really depends on your business nature. So, different companies target for different. For us, we want to target different businesses. We should be successful.
I think I'm with you here. We do sell, we're a consultancy firm, right? So we do like forensic accounting, corporate restructuring, strategic communications, and you see we want to be the one-stop shop when clients come to us. And we're not just trying to sell you forensic accounting services, but our structural will come and do your strategic commerce for you as well. So it is exactly like going to the wet market and buying
Which consulting?
FTI consulting.
I think that's true. For example, when I was in it wasn't why, and nowadays it's no longer there. So wasn't why, when you are in a survey client, we also give discount for them to join for the pension, consultant, and any other things. It's kind of, welcoming the client to be your big client. They only not just buying your survey data, and they can extend to other parties. So it really depends on your business. If you got diversified business, you can sell like this. But if you're more product or single product driven, then it may not work. So you have to depends on your business natures.
Worst example of leadership.
Yes, you did, but I think that
because like 5 years ago we already set for the vision and the firm. So but then like 2015 we already set a goal about like vision 2030, and now it's already 2019. So we are heading towards to 2020 plus. And we are providing integrated services. So it's not just auditing, not just say a particular practice, but again it's a holistic approach. So that's why I would say that we have actually to be stepping in the forefront of every services to provide to our clients. So we have to be more advanced than them, and that's why we always really walk in the forefront.
I was able to join some of your conversations. Thank you so much. I'd just love to quickly hear from one representative from each table, just a quick synopsis of what the conversation was about. Or how about this? Just an insight. Just pick one insight from each table. Let's do this table first here, Claire. Who's our spokesperson? Thank you. what's an insight based on the conversation that you had?
I think it really depends on your business nature. So, and also what's the stage for your company. For example, someone new startup or someone very mature. For example, we are from Hewlett Packard Enterprise. We just spin off from the Hewlett Packard Inc. 3 years ago. So we are not totally new company, but in terms of years of the company, we are just 3 years old. So, but we are not like a startup. We have all the policy and legacy behind. So it's kind of complicated. So we have to find the right, approach for us to go further with the innovation. Because, as a high-tech firm, you can't just, business as usual. You will die.
Yes, especially in tech. Thank you so much. How about from this table? What's an insight? Any insight? Yes.
I was just quite interesting, stroke awkward, because I used to work for this gentleman's company for 13 years and recently left it.
That was
But actually, in terms of all this stuff, there was one big thing around this stuff and the size of the organisation. So I've gone from a 100,000 person organisation to 4,500 person around transformation and the way you do it. So with the new organisation I'm at, partnering and trusting is probably easier because it's like a family. It's small. You kind of everyone knows each other. But then I felt that the larger organisation, we could learn from them around structured planning on comms, driving the message, cascading. So I think when you talk about change management and transformation, organisational size will be a factor to play in how you do that.
Amen. Boy, absolutely. The more layers, the more complex that comes in, those transformations become more challenging, for sure. An insight from this table here.
So after our discussion, we find that trust is one of the quite shared competency in the group. So trust is foundation for basically agility, and also we mentioned about managing change. So basically, if you need to manage change well, you really need a really trusted company, trusted employee to support your training and support the change. So that's one of the insights that we've got from our discussion.
Beautiful. Thank you. Common theme around trust. Lastly, this group here, please share an insight from your conversation.
So we had Drive, as at least 3 of us mentioned Drive for a variety of reasons, and this was around either transformation of the company, rebuilding the company, or growth being the key platforms around which Drive was important to the organization, and leaders showed it in a variety of ways.
Thank you. I said in your conversation for a little bit, and the concept of self-awareness came up. And I thought I would read, so remember we took all of this research, what are the skills needed, and then we mapped our competencies and traits on top of that. Here are the traits, the mindsets under Drive. Composure, optimism, self-awareness, and empathy. Now some of the skills, the competencies, situational adaptability, the ability to manage ambiguity, nimbleness, nimble learning, and driving engagement. We can all build those, right? And we're all in this business, and we understand that building skills takes some time, but building mindsets, it takes a bit more energy. So those mindsets, I think, around optimism and empathy are probably some of the most challenging ones. Thanks for sharing those thoughts. All right. I've thought about this for a while, and I wasn't sure how this would be perceived. So here's an additional layer of the research that we did. We took a look at all the 150,000 data points and talked to market analysts within 18 different markets, 8 of which were in Asia. I think 4 in the Americas and the rest were in Europe. And in aggregate, we found an astonishingly consistent gap around that only 15% of leaders globally fit this disruptive model. fit this self-disruptive, and again, we map these to the innovation index, the fastest growing, some peer reviews, we mapped it to compensation rate, best place to work, all of those pieces, and we came up with a pretty consistent goal of 15%. Here's the interesting part. By market need, these are the markets that we analyzed, very consistently. Hong Kong, congratulations, being one of the best. It's still only about 17% of leaders, based on this research, are considered future ready in this self-disruptive model, this adapt model. I highlighted all of the regional ones here. At the bottom is Malaysia, still really consistent, about 12%, I believe it is. Still within that, so 12 on the low, 17 on the high. And you see the North American and European markets they're showing as well. I'm curious, reflections, reactions to this data. I was kind of surprised by this. Yeah.
Being German, I'm quite surprised that Germany is so high up, to be honest with you. I find it actually a very similar market to Japan. It's a very domestic economy where every product is really tailor-made for the economy, and there's not so much need for leaders in this market to kind of be like most of the people in this room here who, spend most of the time between different countries, traveling around, etc. So I find when I go back to Germany that there's actually quite a narrow-mindedness, especially of, companies that cater even to the international markets, but it's just not a buzz going on, so I'm quite surprised about that. Whereas my wife is South African, and I'm spending around 3 to 4 weeks every year in South Africa, and I find it's a very witty economy. Yes, it's got huge problems, don't get me wrong, but I know a lot of entrepreneurs in South Africa, and I think it's a very, very interesting market. And the same actually goes for the Asian countries. So I'm not surprised about Hong Kong, Singapore being so high up.
That is great insight. And both Japan and Germany have a very low outcome uncertainty quotient. So that's why I said great engineers. So very predictable reliability from those, just culturally, is what that dimension shows up. I was struck by how consistent this was globally.
What's the statistical margin of error? Because to me, it looks like everything converges. When you look at the 17% in Hong Kong who are good, but maybe we need to spend some time thinking about the 83% that didn't make the cut.
Right. That I don't have it for this particular page. That would be in the detailed report.
All right. Sure, it's 3-4%, and everyone's conversion the same numbers.
Exactly. Here's go ahead.
I was just surprised that China isn't higher up. I mean, what we see actually happening in terms of all sorts of technology, etc., that economy is really moving and by leaps and bounds. So I'm actually surprised.
I was kind of surprised too. Until I broke into looked at the next little layer and so let me show that with you. So of the 5 elements, some countries showed up stronger or not. So the full data set is in the research there at the back. But some of these were weighted, and people showed up maybe strong on drive and anticipate and trust. Maybe it was offset by accelerate and partner. Here were the lowest relatively to the other 5 dimensions on each one of these markets. So Germany, around partnering, and how we would define that. Managing conflict, humility, trust, sociability, building networks, resourcefulness, balancing stakeholders. That's sometimes where those dimensions can fall down. I was surprised at some of these as well, but when you look into the definitions of each one of these dimensions, and then you think about your experience there, it tends to make more sense. Okay. We don't have time for more disruption. I'm sorry. So for those of you that participated in rotating tables, thank you for that. I would like to leave you with the back parts. You did the diagnostic, the self-score on this. I would like you to leave you with the action page on the other side. So if you saw one of either your highest or lowest or any of these dimensions on how we're defining those, take a look at these recommended interventions. Think about those. Think about how that you might be able to apply those, or at least start the conversation within your organizations. Again, it's the self-destruct. It's to break it yourself before someone else comes in and has to break it for you. It's no longer good enough to be agile. You have to get in front of the agile. You can't respond to it. You have to be the driver of it. So with that, I thank you very much for your time. Zachary, Elliot, thank you so much. Appreciate your hosting here, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the day.
Great, thank you, Tim. All right, so to steal two of your words here, I know you've all been anticipating the break that we're about to have, and I trust that you will keep on time so that we stay on track for our next session. So we've got our next session after the break, talking about building a holistic and agile talent acquisition technology ecosystem. But during the break, we're going to do something that